If he loves to hang out with his friends, does that mean he does not enjoy spending time with you? Understanding your personality as well as those of loved ones and team members is very important to understand each other. It helps you to strengthen relationships and providing a thriving environment to team members. This helps us to decide when and how to optimize or compromise. This helps us understand the situation where people thrive and where they merely survive. For this and the next 4 episodes, we will share with you a pretty successful model to decode people's personalities in different relationships. This will enable you to figure out how you work together in teams, how to optimize family activities, and how to meet your own needs and put yourself in situations that you thrive in, along with enabling your team members and loved ones to be in their thriving zones as well. In our spirituality section, we will look at difference between good hope and false deception. Whether you're trying to understand your spouse, parent, child, manager, or other team members, one key quality to assess in your relationship is how open are you to try out new ideas, how curious are you, and how much do you value traditions, processes, and rituals. Notice a person may be more open to new ideas and innovation and adventure in one relationship, but not in the other. For example, he may be very innovative and curious at work, but may not have the same style when it comes to family activities or when he is with his friends. The question of how open, curious, or adventurous you are is dependent on a specific relationship that you are considering. Likewise, when you're trying to evaluate somebody else and understand their behavior and their personality, ask this question in the context of a specific relationship or environment. Understanding this will help you know which type of projects or activities do you enjoy and thrive in. Likewise, it will also help you understand the same about your spouse, your manager, your direct reports, and other team members. As an individual, if you know you like to try out new ideas and activities, you shall plan to meet those needs of yours and give yourself opportunities to thrive in those settings. Whether it be by choosing new projects at work or new projects as hobbies or to try out new activities with your friends and family. If you're proposing an idea to someone who enjoys novelty and adventure, you shall consider highlighting these specific areas of the project. You shall start by highlighting what is new about the project, what is novel about the project, what is adventurous about the project or the activity, and then go on explaining the other parts of the project. Please be aware that this attitude also exposes you to additional risk. You may also be appearing as someone lacking focus or being unrealistic. Therefore, you shall consider having metrics and fail criteria, so you can keep an eye and decide when to quit the new idea or change direction. You shall also consider that when communicating your idea or plan to someone who is not as adventurous or open to new ideas, you shall consider how you would explain the fail criteria and how you would explain to them that you have a contingency plan. Let's take some examples. At work, you may select projects to give you the space to try out new things and innovate around them. And at the same time, you should also communicate what is your plan and what are your metrics for success and how will you measure them and how you will be aware if the project is failing and you are ready to stop or change direction. You should also explain to them which areas of the project will you keep in line with current processes as well, so they understand the risk and the things that are upon the current standards. For personal relationships, if your partner is not as open as you are to new ideas, you may try out new activities with your friends and not necessarily with your family. If you're taking career or business risks, you should be considering how you would gain confidence from your family members by sharing the backup plans, the savings that you have, and how you will take their confidence and have their buy-in in your new venture. Likewise, if your spouse is more open to new ideas than you, then you may take the risk with them and support them while agreeing on when to stop or pivot. For fun activities, you shall realize that if you're not open to new activities, then this is what they will pursue individually or with their friends. So if you observe that your spouse or a friend or a child or another family member is pursuing activities with their friends and seems to be enjoying them, that does not mean that they don't enjoy spending time with you. It's just that they're meeting their other needs with their other friends. Likewise, if you're someone who values traditions and rituals more and are dealing with someone who is high on adventure and like to try out new ideas, you're now able to understand them better and will know how and when to compromise, when to decide how to do activities together, what is the right balance, and when to have their private space so each of you can try and meet your own specific needs. If you don't know about the preference of the other person you're dealing with, you can observe the choices that they make or simply ask them what is their preference and how do they feel about a certain project or activity or a trip and so on. So having this sort of understanding will help you maintain and deepen relationships and get the best out of the people. It will help you know when you need to go outside your comfort zone and provide what the other party needs. Or come up with a plan where you have a win-win situation and both of you can enjoy a certain activity and can enjoy risk-taking behavior. The key is to realize that honest communications go a long way. So when in doubt, just ask. Now, for the part on our relationship with Allah, when it comes to disobeying the Master, the Lord of the heavens and earth, some people have a wrong attitude, a very deceptive attitude, and that is based on their wrong expectations around the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, may Allah have mercy on him, discusses that in his book, The Disease and the Cure. He discusses the false claims around this and explains the fallacies therein. Those interested in details shall check out the chapter. We will suffice with the following for this episode. He quotes the following hadith in this chapter relying on the mercy and forgiveness and generosity of Allah. He quotes the hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said, "A wise man is the one who calls himself to account and refrains from doing evil deeds and does noble deeds to benefit him after death. And the foolish person is the one who subdues himself to his temptations and desires and seeks from Allah the fulfillment of his vain desires." So as you can see that the Prophet ﷺ is creating that difference and telling us that difference between the wise person who does the right deeds and has the right expectations, and the person who does the wrong deeds and has false expectations from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In his book, Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah continues on explaining the difference between having a good opinion and being deceived. He says there, if a good opinion advocates work and action, then it is correct. However, if it recommends idleness and indulgence in sins, then it is deception. So that's a pretty good litmus test. If you have a hope, if you have an expectation, and it encourages you to do the right things, then that's a good hope. That's the right hope and the right hope from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if it discourages you to take actions, if it makes you lazy, it makes you idle, and it encourages you to do sins, then definitely this is a deception. And that is not the right understanding of the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now he quotes the ayah from the Quran, which can be translated as, "Verily, those who have believed and those who have emigrated for Allah's religion and have striven hard in the way of Allah, all these hope for Allah's mercy." So the ones who are truly hoping for Allah's mercy are the ones with these characteristics. That they truly believe in Allah and they leave the sins, they leave condition and places that incite them to do sins, and they go to places where they have the ability to obey Allah. And they do their best, they strive hard, they work hard, they are patient, and they strive hard for the pleasure of Allah. These are the ones who actually hope the mercy of Allah. Now let's take a look at some practical steps from this episode. In each of your relationships that are important for you, Identify how open to new ideas are you and how open to new ideas the other person is. What are some challenges or friction points in the relationship? How can you meet your needs while addressing their concern and meeting their style? How can you meet their needs while addressing their concern and meeting their style? If needed, what kind of balance do you both need to have your own private space to enjoy places and activities that meet your individual needs? And for our spiritual side, let's have a distinction. What kind of hope are we living with? Is that a good hope or is that a deception? Remember, our actions will tell us the answer.